Thank you. I appreciate that. We had a 6 o'clock presentation. We're a little late on the 7 o'clock. I apologize. We were trying to answer as many questions as we could. Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm Jim Grabowski, City Manager. I'd like to introduce a couple other people that are in the audience. Mayor Steve Morley was here, Alderman Mark Mulliner, Alderman Steve Hipskin, Alderman Danny Polumsky. Kevin York wanted to be here, but he had a medical emergency in the family and couldn't be, sends his regrets. I know that Kevin was very involved during the storm of the 18th and knows most of the people in this room. Also with us, Public Works Director Mike Hughes, Vince Spaeth from the Park District. Vince, we really appreciate you being here. And Doug Gotham from Christopher Burke Engineering, who is a landscape architect and will have part of the presentation here. What we've been trying to do is provide an open house format so that the drawings that we introduced a few weeks ago at City Council can be talked about in detail with the people that it affects, that it helps. Rather than have one large meeting and try to answer a number of questions in a lengthy amount of time, we found that being up close to the drawings and having staff and consultants right there answers a question and answers a number of questions in a shorter amount of time. So where we are is that we had a study done by Christopher Burke that identified a number of open parcels to try to help overland flooding. All those parcels are managed by the Park District and the School District. And so what we did was take those drawings to the Park District and School District Executive Director, Superintendent, and talk to them about how it may affect the services that they provide. They asked a number of questions which refined the drawings. So we had Doug, the landscape architect, draw up the boards that you see here, and he'll explain those in just a minute here. So then we took those back to the school district and the park district, and they were able to talk to their boards about it, and that generated more questions, rightfully so. We have those questions from the park district. I'm getting those questions from the school district. I was told this morning. We're going to answer those questions as best we can and then visit with the park district on June 12th and I believe the school district on June 11th. And answer those questions, try to move forward as best we can. So that's generally where we stand right now. There's 3 projects that we'll talk about tonight. 2 of them are kind of an either or, which is the Pioneer Park and Wild Meadows Trace. And then Golden Meadows is the other one. So with that, I'll introduce Doug Gotham, and he can take us through that. And then after that, we'll have the same forum that we had before, where you're welcome to come up, look at the boards, and talk to the staff and the consultants that are here.
Thanks, Jim. My goal in this process was to take the study that was done by our office indicating where we can put stormwater and how much stormwater we can put on these open spaces, and then see if I can accommodate that quantity or volume of water and still maintain the quality of the site. So we wanted to have the sites to have a stormwater storage capability, but we also want to not take away the amenities of the site or the purpose of the site initially. In this case, they're all park sites, so that the open space remains and it remains usable for active or passive recreation. Now, I should point out that in each of these situations, the way the water gets there is through gravity. That's the cheapest, most effective way in this process to get the water off the streets and into the open space. So a lot of times by doing that, we're dictated by the elevations of what we can do and what we can achieve. So the water comes into the sites by gravity, and it will also leave by gravity. It'll only be stored on the sites temporarily. We're not making lakes out there that'll always be there, because then we wouldn't be able to have athletic fields or open recreation or even have the turf survive. So the goal is that in a 24 to 48 hour period, these sites would be drained down and be usable again. And in fact, all of them, we have little details here where we amend the soils and we put little drain tiles in them. And we pitch the surface of the athletic fields so that accelerates that process. We recently did this back in 2010 for the city of Downers Grove on a park district site, Washington Park, which is north and east of downtown. I invite you to go look at it, where we used a park site, and it's also a stormwater storage facility. They experienced the same event you did on April 18th, which was a Thursday. On the following Sunday, they were playing softball down in one of the basins. So it's possible to do this, and possible to do it successfully and still have these fields usable and maintain the recreational or open space quality of the sites. First one I'll go through here is Pioneer. As Jim mentioned, this is an either or. If we can do Trace Meadow, which is right up here, or Meadows Trace, if you can visualize, Seminole is right there, Valet is right here, Mitchell's right there. This is the Prairie Path coming right across there. We wouldn't need to do this to the extent that you see here. But what you see here is a small depressional area. In cross-section, it would look like this. It would only be 3 to 4 feet deep down. And here you could see views into it. So it'd be a very shallow-looking depression, but yet we would be able to store 4 acre-feet of stormwater on that. Now, an acre-foot of water is 1 foot of water deep over an acre of land. So we would have considerable storage here. And yet we were able to accommodate the soccer field that would be out there, that's there now. We can still fit into that basin without disturbing it. We show a little ramp access down to the field so we meet the ADA requirements. And we show a nice decorative retaining wall, a nice stone wall back here to maintain the mature trees that are behind these homes, so those wouldn't have to be disturbed. So that's Pioneer Park. Next one up, that's Wild Meadows Trace, as I talked about. Here we would have the stormwater flowing in directly off the street, off of Seminole, filling this void space up, and then exiting out there when the whole system can accept it through that structure there. Now, if you know right now, this is the Prairie Path. This is heavily vegetated, though I was just told ComEd came in and took some of those trees down. But we wouldn't be touching the county property. This is county. The Prairie Path is county property. This is the Park District property. And if you recall, if you could drive down Seminole, you'll see this little playground right here. That playground is above the street. So that would show you how significantly down we're going in this area to create the storage. But we'd be able to store 3 acre-feet off of there. You know, some people talk about that, you know, this only affects a few homes when the street floods. But the fact of the matter is when the street's flooded, not even the emergency vehicles can get through. There we go. So that's Wild Meadows Trace. This would all be lawn down here. We've even talked about putting natural or native plantings, but that's up to the Park District to tell us. We also directed the bike path so the network through the city can be maintained and we can stop cutting through on the railroad right-of-way over here. So that's Wild Meadows Trace. And then the last one is Golden Meadows Park. Here we have, I took a little bit of a liberty before talking to the Park District and introduced here a parking lot to the north end so we can get some of the parking off the street here. But you can see this is a lot more severe than the last two. Here we're dropping 8 to 10 feet down to create this depressional area. Here the stormwater comes in from the southwest, and it'll exit here towards the tollway into that system off towards the east. So we were able to accommodate the full-size soccer field without a problem. And we have the parking lot, as you can see in the illustration here, that slowly ramps down along with the walkway down to the field itself. And as I said before, the field will have a nice, very, very slight crown to it and an under drain system to help it drain. You can see the steepness of, all of these have a 4-to-1 side slope, which is an industry standard that says we can easily mow it with a hand mower. Any even homeowner could push a hand mower up to 4-to-1. When we start getting 3-to-1, it gets a little bit more dicey. So we try to keep this as a 4-to-1 side slope on all these illustrations. And there you can see the view out towards the south if you were standing here looking down that way. But that's the 3 that we're talking about tonight. I'll invite you all up to come to the boards that affect you and to talk to staff and my associate Luke Sherry about any questions you might have about each of the sites. Thank you.